Good morning, Toastmasters, guests, and my dear friends. Most of the boys grow up playing with cars and action figures. I grew up with computers. As a child, I was always fascinated by them, and I instinctively and intuitively understood everything about them. And most importantly, I was curious enough to put in the effort required to learn everything about them. I even taught myself some programming. So at one point of time, I was probably the most knowledgeable person in my town when it came to computers, specifically Microsoft DOS. If anyone needed help, they all called me. Now, I think I understood computers so well because they are so very logical. Everything about them is driven by logic. As a child, I was also very, very fortunate to have lots of cousins to play with. I remember cycling carefree on the roads of my town, Tinsukia. I remember playing cricket every Sunday morning on the rooftop. But what I remember the most is playing board games. We played lots and lots and lots of board games. But the game that I loved playing most was Monopoly. In fact, I played so much Monopoly that I got really, really good at it. To the point that I still remember the rates, the rates and the rentals of all the properties right from Old Kent Road up to Mayfair. Now, on the flip side, the challenge is that when you become really good at Monopoly, nobody wants to play Monopoly with me because you play the game really, really fast. So certainly my wife and child don't want to play Monopoly with me at all. I also used to love reading, everything except that was there in my school. I read everything I could lay my hands on, all the books I could find, every magazine I could lay on. Okay, not every magazine, but most of the magazines I could lay my hands on, and all the newspapers I could find. None of my friends did any of this. I loved listening to English music, and I was a big fan of Michael Jackson. When one of my friends took my headphone on one of the school picnics, he said, "What is this? How music you are listening to?" I couldn't explain it to him. I love doing science experiments from my school textbook at home. None of my friends did. I even taught myself some skating all by myself. None of my friends skated. In fact, I did most of the things that none of my friends did. And some of my friends even made fun of me. Oh, I thought that time how much I longed that I wish I had been more like my friends. I had so much to talk to, and I had so much to talk about and no one to talk to. Now, by now you must have realized that almost everything that I had learned had been self-taught. Therefore, I did not know what I did not know. So for my +2, I was staying with my cousins in Delhi. I discovered something very interesting there, the mighty modem. This was 1995. And with a modem, you could connect one computer to another computer, connect to a bulletin board system, and leave messages and emails for everybody else in the world who was there on the same bulletin board system, which would usually be around 50 people. That was really exciting. I also discovered color monitors, other operating systems, which no longer exist, by the way, and some other very interesting things like relational databases. Oh, such exciting times they were. In fact, the times were so exciting that I did not really do well in my board exams. One of the reasons was also that I never really had the temperament to learn something by heart. And by now you must have realized that I'm really good at table topics. So every speech I give, even prepared speeches, they're all basically table topics. After that, when I was pursuing my graduation, I realized I wanted to have a respectable educational qualification. I was pursuing my CA, but I was not very happy about that. And I heard about CAT and I applied for that exams. After one not very successful attempt, I did better the second time around. I secured a 99.86 percentile, which was good enough to get me interview calls from all the 6 IIMs that existed at that time. Now, that was clear those interviews. For once in my life, I did not regret being different. From my speech, you must have realized by now, and especially for fans of the Big Bang Theory, that I am what people call a geek. And that's what my cousins used to call me. And they got the shock of their lives when I, of all people, convinced a girl to be interested in me. Can you imagine? I was the first in my family. Now, only if my wife could speak machine language, life would be so much easier for me. For example, sometimes when I ask my wife if she needs my help, she says she can handle herself. And I'm convinced she can handle herself. And then she gets angry for no reason. God knows why. I wish for a time when humans communicated like computers so that I finally would be able to understand them, and finally I would myself be understood by them. That's all for today. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.